Hey, Arkansas, look at the new digs. Did you ever think Conduit News would get so good? Thanks so much for being with us. We've got some news to get to, as well as talking about this new format that you're listening to or watching right now. But let's get to the news. We have the judge in the Hunter Biden paternity case deciding to recuse himself. We also have Asa Hutchinson allowing refugees into Arkansas that is stirring up some questions from our legislators. There's even talk of a committee meeting that's going to be called sometime next week. Also, we have legislators taking to Facebook, expressing their concerns with Governor Hutchinson's decision to allow refugees here in Arkansas. And campaigning as an unwavering conservative, but voting like a Democrat. We'll have all of those stories for you and more. This is Conduit News Hour. I'm Paul Harrell. Thanks so much for being with us. Folks, we really appreciate this journey that you've gone on with us here at Conduit News. You guys, first of all, with this new format, the first thing that you need to do is check out the new website. You need to go to conduitnews.com and just take a look at it. It looks really, really good. We believe that we have the truth on our side. We want to bring you the truth of what's happening here in Arkansas politics, in government. We want government to be more transparent. We want government to just be honest with the people. But a lot of times that doesn't happen when people are in positions of power. So here we are. Check out the website. The biggest thing that you can do is share this video with your friends. Share it. Like us on Facebook. Please go to the YouTube channel. You've heard me say it when we were on radio that we need you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's Conduit News. We also need you to click that little bell so you receive notifications when you get your weekday videos, when you get this show and others. And check out, again, conduitnews.com for the new programs, new formats to follow. But we're going to continue bringing you the news, and because we believe that an educated citizenry is indispensable to the proper functioning of a republic. Founding Father Thomas Jefferson said something to that effect. And we just know that if the people have the correct information, the truth, that they'll be able to make better decisions at the ballot box. They'll be able to talk with their local elected officials in an informed, educated way and be able to tell them, what do you want out of your state government? What do you want out of your local government? Conduit News wants to be the conduit from the seat of power. I've affectionately called it the Marble Palace before in Little Rock. But to the people, though, a conduit of information. We need your help. I really appreciate all of the people who are already consuming Conduit News and all of the folks, all of you out there who are, I guess I would call you social media warriors. Many of you out there reaching out to us. You guys have been so complimentary and appreciative of the news that we've brought. And we're going to continue working with you, working together, because we just got to get this information out to more people. We know that people of Arkansas are a conservative one, especially issue by issue by issue. And we vote that way. Sometimes, though, we don't quite get what we're promised. And we'll actually have more on that in a minute. I will tell you that over the New Year's holiday, by the way, Happy New Year. It's 2020. I never thought it would actually get here. It's such a wild thought to think that it's now the year 2020. I was talking with my wife the other day. She was saying, hey, this is... We're now in the roaring 20s, if you will. Probably the biggest story that has national implications, but is so focused right here in Arkansas, is this Hunter Biden paternity situation. Now, for those of you who don't know, there is a woman in Independence County who had a relationship with Hunter Biden. This is Joe Biden's son, the vice president. Her name, London Alexis Roberts. Now, they reportedly met sometime in Washington, D.C. There are reports that she was an exotic dancer. And, okay, so they conceived a child together. The courts have determined that Hunter Biden is the father. But there's just one problem. there is this whole situation with Burisma and the Ukraine, and Republicans as well as Americans are very curious about what Joe Biden was doing in Ukraine as vice president. We know he's on tape talking to the Council on Foreign Relations saying, hey, I held up $1 billion unless they fired a prosecutor. He leaves out that the prosecutor was investigating Burisma, a company his son was sitting on the board of, making $8,000. And so now that you have a paternity case where London Alexis Roberts, an Arkansas woman living in Independence County, is wanting child support, and it may have something to do with the fact that she knows Hunter Biden's rich, maybe something to do with the fact that she knows that he was making $80,000 a month from Burisma. Maybe she's read news reports. All I'm saying is it's really interesting that we may get to know more about Hunter Biden's financial situation, and I know the courts will probably put it under seal, but we may get to know more about Hunter Biden's financials and financial situation from a paternity case out of Independence County, Arkansas. And I will have to say, the fact that this state birthed arguably the most powerful political family in the nation, the Clintons, and we almost put not one but two, we almost started them on their path and put almost two Clintons in the White House. It would be very fitting that something like this would completely expose the corruption inside the Democrat Party. And I actually think what's going on in Ukraine, it's not just limited to the Democrat Party. I think it's the political class in general, but time will tell. The news over the New Year's, though, is that the judge in the Hunter Biden paternity case has decided to recuse himself. And this is odd to me because this paternity case has been going on for months. We have the Daily Mail reporting that the judge in the Hunter Biden child support case has recused himself. And it's kind of shocking because this is on the heels of two separate parties filing motions with the court trying to join the proceedings. Okay? The judge's name, Don McSpadden, announced he was recusing himself at 10:20 on Tuesday. It came hours after Joel Kaplan filed a motion in Independence County seeking to become a party in the case and filed a witness statement from Victor Shokin. This is what's so wild, is that Victor Shokin is the prosecutor who is on record claiming he was fired because he was investigating Burisma. He was fired by Joe Biden because he was investigating Burisma. Now you say, why would they bow to American pressure? Well, obviously the fact that, we're the only superpower left in the world. That's why the Ukrainian government would do that. But the main reason is because $1 billion is a gargantuan amount of money to a country like Ukraine. Maybe not so much to us, when we have a $14 trillion a year economy, or 15 or whatever it is now, $5 trillion a year federal budget. But to a country like Ukraine, holding up $1 billion could essentially bankrupt their country. And now we're finding out more about what actually happened with that money, what actually happens with foreign aid in general. Fascinating stuff. And here is another angle on this. The man who filed this claim in Independence County, who is essentially, I don't know, what it looks like to me is the motion essentially maybe put too much pressure on Judge McSpadden. He was like, you know what, I'm out. I don't want the publicity or anything like that. But in the motion, he claims that this guy, Joel Kaplan, was China hustled out of his life savings. And it has to do with a $1.5 billion deal. It's really interesting considering, everyone's looking at Hunter Biden in the Ukraine, everyone meaning partisan people on the right, like myself. But there's a lot of memes out there. Okay, you did Ukraine and the Bidens, now do China, because we know that there was a $1.5 billion deal where Hunter Biden went with his father, Joe Biden, over to China, and yada, 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 he got a lot of money. He basically inked a deal for $1.5 billion. So what are we to make of this? I don't know why Judge McSpadden recused. That's really the news here. I will remind you, though, that this is kind of becoming a pattern. You've had, in terms of high-profile cases, what's the other high-profile case right now in Arkansas? Well, it's the case trying to bring to justice the murder of former Senator Linda Collins. That's a big deal. And yet, that case, we have multiple judges that have been assigned to it, and a prosecutor that decides to recuse or doesn't want to try the case anymore after 6 months of arresting Becky O'Donnell and charging her with capital murder. So to me, it just begs the question, I mean, if some cases get too much media attention, does the Arkansas judicial system just kind of want to back off from that? You know, I mean, I will tell you this, as a judge, I have always heard, you know, that the judiciary is different. But I mean, you get paid to try cases that nobody's really paying attention to, and you get paid to hear cases that everyone's paying attention to. That's kind of what the point of the whole process is. I don't know. Maybe some judges just don't want to take the heat when there's significant media coverage around their decisions. Who knows? But I will tell you this, Arkansas nationally and internationally has a reputation for not quite being so fair. I think we need to be honest with ourselves about that. We have a reputation where, maybe you're not going to get a fair shake, or maybe you'll beat the charge, but you won't beat the ride. So the rest of the country is looking at the fact that this guy, this judge, McSpadden, recused himself, and they're thinking, it's that same old good old boy politics that was first brought to the media spotlight in modern day history by the Clintons. Yeah, that's right. Because when Bill Clinton became president, people started looking at what he did as he was governor, and that's when you started finding out a lot of very interesting things that just don't look very good, to say the least. So this judge recusing himself at the last minute has all kinds of wild internet speculation about why he would. We're going to report the facts, but I'm just saying the reputation that Arkansas has isn't a good one when it comes to transparency in government, whether in the legislative, executive, or judicial branch. And we need to work to change that by holding our elected officials accountable. We're going to take a break. Don't go anywhere. This is Conduit News Hour. Back in just a moment. Folks, as a taxpayer or business owner, I know the government rarely gives the people a break. Big government politicians seem to always want more money from us, taxpayers. So if you want to support the work we're doing right here at Conduit News, bringing you the truth, then why not consider giving less money to the government that never stops overspending and overtaxing us by giving a tax-deductible donation to Conduit for Commerce, the premier organization in Arkansas that never stops promoting small business and limited government. Just go to conduitforcommerce.org and click on Support Our Cause. From there, you can decide if you want to donate one time or monthly. Give the government that's using your tax dollars to grow and grow less, and give the people fighting for your values more. Conduitforcommerce.org. And welcome back to Conduit News Hour. I'm Paul Harrell. So, we've talked about a story that happened over New Year's with Hunter Biden and the paternity case here in Arkansas and the judge recusing himself. But if we go back a little further to the last holiday that we experienced, which was Christmas, there was news about Christmas Eve that came across the wire that was disturbing to many Arkansans, especially those who claim to be conservatives. The news broke that Governor Asa Hutchinson signaled to the Trump administration that our state would take refugees, presumably from the Middle East countries like Syria. This upset many people because the general notion, and I think a logical one, is that this makes the state of Arkansas less safe because we can't really be sure the types of people that are going to come here. Now, this has not only upset many of you, and you can just go, folks, and look at the comments on social media, but it's also concerned many legislators. As a matter of fact, there was an email among legislators that was sent out. There's legislators that have reached out to the government the governor's office specifically, asking, hey, what's the deal? The governor's office has responded to the state legislature and has told them more specifics about this, attempting to ease their fears, their concerns, and I also think that attempting to pacify those of us who think this is not a wise move in terms of immigration policy, not a wise move at all. I've also heard personally from some of my sources in Washington, D.C., that are wondering where the money is going to come to pay for some of this. For this influx of individuals. It is all very, very concerning. It's so concerning, as a matter of fact, that I'm told that Senator Gary Stubblefield will be calling a meeting, a committee meeting, to hear and talk about this specific issue to try to get to the bottom of it. And that's not the only legislature. On the 26th of December, we had State Senator Trent Garner. He made a lengthy Facebook post, and this is what it said. I'm very concerned with the refugees' resettlement decision. First, we have no details about what this decision means. Here are a list of basic questions that we should have to know before any decision was made. How many refugees will be allowed? Where are they relocating from? Where will they be allowed to relocate in Arkansas? How much will this cost the state? Is this a temporary arrangement, or is this a permanent resettlement? What is the security in place to protect Arkansans? This is critical information. Now, it is worth noting, ladies and gentlemen, that the Hutchinson administration has said they're confident in the Trump administration's vetting process of all of this. You would assume that the Trump administration's vetting process would be better than President Obama's. The fact is, though, and I've had this conversation many times, you have a situation where you're bringing people in from a war-torn area. You're bringing people in also with many cases, with a radical Islamic mentality. And I'll also tell you this, there are Christians, I'm sure, as well. I mean, there are Christians in the Middle East that are very, very much oppressed. The problem is, how do you determine who is peaceful and who is not peaceful? And what's the responsibility of government? Is it to secure the safety of the citizens in this country? And the answer is a resounding yes. That should take priority. And if you don't know, and if you can't be sure, then all of us are now going to be less safe than we were because of this decision by somebody in power, in this case, Governor Asa Hutchinson, because the Trump administration said, we're not sending them unless the governor publicly says they want them. Our governor has said, as well as other red state governors, to be fair, that we want the refugees. I think if you put it to a vote of the people, it would go down in flames. Let's go back to Trent Garner's statement. He goes on, this is critical information, especially when we look at examples like Germany and Sweden. Those countries will have generational problems because of the poor refugee relocation programs they enacted. Secondly, why was this decision announced, this is a really good point, the week of Christmas when most of the state government is off for the holidays? The Trump administration issued Executive Order 13888, which granted states the right to deny resettlement on September 26, 2019. We have had months to discuss this issue. Instead, the decision was made with no warning or hearings during the holidays. Third, what has changed that makes this a good idea? In 1980, Senator Trent Garner writes, Governor Bill Clinton made a terrible mistake allowing 19,000 Cuban refugees into Arkansas. The refugees rioted and terrorized the community and caused a crisis that negatively impacted Arkansas. In 2015, Governor Hutchinson opposed allowing Syrian refugees to Arkansas. Here's part of his statement, quote, this is what the governor said. This is not the right strategy for the United States to become a permanent place of relocation. Again, I will oppose Arkansas being used as such a relocation center. The hardships facing these refugees and their families are beyond most of our understanding, and my thoughts and prayers are with them, but I will not support a policy that is not the best solution and poses a risk to Arkansans. Again, That's Governor Asa Hutchinson's statement in 2015. Senator Gardner concludes his Facebook post by saying, because of these issues, I'm requesting we have a formal meeting in the Senate to investigate. And so what I'm being told right now, what we can report to you, is that it does appear that that formal meeting is going to take place. Senator Gardner, Senator Gary Stubblefield. Now, I've reached out to both Senator Gardner and Senator Gary Stubblefield, and I have heard back from Senator Stubblefield. We're going to hopefully, we don't have anything a hard time yet because he's a very busy guy. Hopefully, we will be talking to Senator Gary Stubblefield sometime on Monday, and we will get that information to you as soon as possible. I want to know what he's thinking. I want to know what are his concerns. Is there any scenario where bringing Syrian refugees or Middle East refugees into Arkansas would be acceptable? Is there any scenario where it's a good thing? But the other side of the story is that you have faith-based organizations who want the refugees here because they want to minister to them. And I 100% respect that opinion and understand that opinion. However, when it comes to what the government's responsibility is, it's to make sure its citizens are safe. And you can do that based on, being able to predict that safety. And while we cannot guarantee anyone's safety, I'll be the first to tell you that, especially if we're having a Second Amendment argument. This is something much like the border and much like illegal immigration that can be prevented. I have interviewed several angel moms and one angel father whose children would be alive today if we secured the southern border. That is, if we were able to stop the illegal immigration that at its current numbers that it is today. And the fact of the matter is, we're not able to. And there are American citizens that would be alive today if we were able to secure the border. And you and I both know we can be doing a much better job than we have been doing. That's why the president has made this such a priority, because the president knows this. The president has met President Trump with countless angel moms and dads and families. Do you think this is a good idea? Immigration is one of the most hot topics in the nation and in the state of Arkansas. We'll continue following the story as it develops. We'll specifically cover the committee meeting that's going to be taking place at the Capitol in Little Rock, and we'll give you the latest on that when we know. And kudos to the state legislators who are trying to get information to their people. That's a lot of you out there. But do the people believe the information that they're getting now? I will tell you, I have seen other state legislators posting the very information that I had forwarded to me in an email that are talking points from the governor's office. Now, the talking points may be perfectly fine. They may be, it's not to just say that if you get a response from the governor's office that it's going to be misleading, although we have here at Conduit News certainly identified carefully crafted language and exposed it when it's appropriate. I will just tell you that there are some that have very little confidence based on the current track record of Republicans in the General Assembly who are more conservative than the governor effectively being able to stop what he wants to do. And he has the sole authority to do this. I will tell you, if you are upset with the Syrian refugee decision made by the governor, I would encourage you to contact your legislators and let them know what's going on, because they're really the only ones at this point who can apply the pressure. Because I don't believe that the governor, let's say if just thousands and thousands and thousands of Arkansans called the governor's office, I don't really believe it would affect his decision that much. But I do believe you reaching out to your local legislature would help give them the support they need to represent you. And that's what this is about. Folks, we're going to take another break. Being an unwavering conservative, campaigning like one versus voting like one, will highlight a primary in Northeast Arkansas between State Representative Dan Sullivan and incumbent Senator John Cooper when we return. Don't go anywhere. This is Conduit News Hour. I'm Paul Harrell. Folks, as a taxpayer or business owner, I know the government rarely gives the people a break. Big government politicians seem to always want more money from us, taxpayers. So if you want to support the work we're doing right here at Conduit News, bringing you the truth, then why not consider giving less money to the government that never stops overspending and overtaxing us by giving a tax-deductible donation to Conduit for Commerce, the premier organization in Arkansas that never stops promoting small business and limited government. Just go to conduitforcommerce.org and click on Support Our Cause. From there, you can decide if you want to donate one time or monthly. Give the government that's using your tax dollars to grow and grow less, and give the people fighting for your values more. Conduitforcommerce.org. Welcome back, and welcome to the new format. Be sure you guys check out the website, conduitnews.com. It's gotten a facelift, to say the least. Also, please be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, share it with your friends, and when you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you want to click that little bell to receive notifications. Okay, what's it like? Campaigning is an unwavering conservative. Campaigning and telling your constituents that you are not for sale, it's time for political offices to no longer be for sale, versus what you actually do. And it certainly is a tale of two campaigns when you look at the political history of Senator John Cooper, who's being primaried by State Representative Dan Sullivan. You see, when John Cooper first ran for office, he claims that he would not be for sale. He claimed that it's time to take, I think we've got a photo of it, take a look. It's time to take the for sale sign out of the window in political office. For a man who ran opposing a law that the healthcare industry here in this state, it was Obamacare, private option, Arkansas Works, whatever they want to call it now. It is a historical fact, indisputable, as a matter of fact, that Senator John Cooper ran opposing a law that the healthcare industry desperately wanted in this state. And then shortly after getting into office, completely flip-flopped, betrayed the people he told he was going to vote against the law. He betrayed the people he claimed he was going to represent. And now here we are, which leads us to this headline. On the front page of the Jonesboro Sun yesterday, on New Year's Day, we have this headline. Take a look. Senator John Cooper has outraised State Representative Dan Sullivan by $100,000. This would obviously make any inquisitive voter to wonder, maybe to compare past statements versus current statements. Exactly what happened when John Cooper decided to flip-flop on his opposition to this disastrous health care law that's affecting Arkansas even today. He ran without an opponent the last time, so this will be the third time he's up for the second time he's up for re-election. The third time he's up for election. He ran without an opponent a couple of cycles ago and still raised campaign money. Odd how that works, how you would get campaign money when you don't even have an opponent. But that campaign aside, what about the current campaign? We have a Facebook photo for you. This is how Senator John Cooper decides to run his campaign now. Take a look at this. Always conservative and never wavering. Never wavering. This is not a true statement at all. Virtually no one in Little Rock could tell you with a straight face that Senator John Cooper is an unwavering conservative. In fact, if you look at Cooper's voting record, it's difficult to see any principles that govern how he votes at all anyway. Can we go back? Let's go back to that photo real quick. An unwavering conservative. How would it be, in your mind, unwavering to vote against allowing kids to study the Bible in high school as an elective, just as a choice? Is that being an unwavering conservative? Honest question. I think many voters would be shocked to know that Senator John Cooper voted against a bill that allows children to study the Bible in school as an elective, meaning instead of doing band or choir or football, I think is an elective now in a lot of schools. You could also study the Bible as an elective. Why would he vote against something like that? Very, very strange. Also, Cooper was the deciding vote when he stood against the Second Amendment and killed a Stand Your Ground bill. Do we think that that is being an unwavering conservative? He voted with the Democrats. Matter of fact, here's a photo of Senator John Cooper during the committee meeting when the bill was killed, in between, talking with activists from the radical anti-Second Amendment group Moms Demand Action. You see that photo there. We also have another photo of Senator Cooper appearing at some sort of community rally, and in the back there you see another Moms Demand Action event. Now, this group is radical. They are funded by radical leftists, and they want to take our guns away. The group would deny this, but that's their goal. As we've seen, that's what the Democrats' goal as a whole is. You have the Texas congressman, former Congressman Beto O'Rourke, saying that they're coming to take our guns. That's what they're there for. So, again, question, is that being an unwavering conservative? What do you think? Now, if this bill sounds familiar, it's because it was the bill, and you probably remember this, where there was a viral video, a viral clip of Democrat Senator Stephanie Flowers. This is the same bill. Do you remember when she had a complete meltdown?
Do I have a right to stand my ground with some crazy ass person walking around with a doggone gun? I don't know what the hell he intends to do, but I know I am scared. I feel threatened. Just like some of y'all walking around here up in the legislature with these damn guns. That, what's his name, Garner came in here, walking around here with a damn gun under his coat. You can see the damn print.
Senator, you need to stop.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't. What the hell are you gonna do? Shoot me?
Senator.
Senator, what the hell? I'm telling you, this deserves more attention. You want to come up here with all these little NRA bills and bills that Alec have and all that stuff. I'm talking about my son's life. And I'm talking about the lives of other black kids. Do what the hell you want to do. Go ahead, but you can't silence me. You got your damn silence gun out the damn chamber today, but you are not going to silence me.
Wow. Using profanity, telling Senator Alan Clark to go to hell, among other things. Senator Stephanie Flowers was completely unhinged. The video had thousands and thousands of views. It went national. It made news. Question would be, when a Democrat acts like that over a bill to allow people to defend themselves and their family and stand their ground, the bill was by Senator Bob Ballinger. When a Democrat acts like this, why would Senator Cooper vote with the Democrats? He did. He voted to kill the bill. He voted, there were 8 people on the committee, and he voted with the other 4 Democrats. He's the only Republican on that committee that voted with the Democrats to kill this bill. One can only assume Senator Stephanie Flowers' radical, unhinged meltdown convinced Senator Cooper? I'm not sure, totally, but I have my suspicions. I also will tell you, Senator Cooper used to be a frequent guest of mine. I hosted him many, many times when he ran for office the first time, back in 2014. He's welcome to come on the program anytime he wants. I would have some serious questions for him if he ever wanted to do so. However, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But again, Senator Cooper, I know you're watching. You're welcome to come on anytime. And let's discuss why it is you decided to vote the opposite on many issues as to how you campaigned before. I would love to hear your official response. Instead, what you're doing now is you're running a campaign for re-election as an unwavering conservative. And that's just not true. I wish our politicians in Republican primaries would be honest. If you're a moderate, be a moderate. If you're not as far right as your opponent on the spectrum, if you don't agree with all of the Republican Party principles in the platform, and Senator Cooper doesn't because he spoke against the Republican Party platform at his own Craighead County Republican Committee. He spoke against it and compared it to the Soviet Union by just a simple resolution affirming the platform. He compared to the Soviet Union. If you're a moderate, run as a moderate. Go to the people and convince them with your arguments as to why moderate republicanism is the winner. Moderate republicanism is the reason you need to vote for me. But you're not doing that, sir. Your campaigning is an unwavering conservative, and history shows, your own voting record shows, that is simply not the truth. And I want the truth. The people deserve the truth. You're asking to represent them. Now, on the flip side, if you go look at State Representative Dan Sullivan, who's challenging John Cooper, and you look at what he has said in the campaign rhetoric that he has said and claimed versus how he has voted, he's kept his promise. And you know why? Because he goes to the people and he tells them why he voted the way he did. And he's got faith that he'll either win the argument and win the election, or the voters will reject him and he'll lose the election. Isn't that what we want from a politician? Just be honest, put yourself out there. Instead, Senator Cooper has had town hall events where he limits the scope and range of questions and I'm not going to answer that. That's not specific to what we're talking about here. What kind of politician is that? What kind of representative is that won't take all of your questions when you have a town hall meeting? I hope that the other Republican primaries, and we're going to be talking to other folks and other politicians who are in Republican primaries. We talked to the Majority Leader Marcus Richmond back on the old radio program. It's kind of funny to say old radio program, but we talked to him before the holiday break. We'll be talking to more. I just hope the primaries I would hope they would be transparent. Now, maybe I don't need to hold my breath on that. When I say transparent, again, if you're not as conservative as your opponent in a Republican primary, just say so. That's the honest thing to do. Why are people tempted to lie? Because they know it's a Republican primary and they know who's going to be turning out to vote. Conservatives who actually go knock doors, who will post those social media postings trying to convince their friends, who are passionate about who represents them. We're going to take a break. We're going to be back in just a moment. I'm going to tell you about some New Year's resolutions when we come back. New story up right now at conduitnews.com. This is Conduit News Hour. Welcome to the new format. I'm Paul Harrell, back in just a moment. Folks, as a taxpayer or business owner, I know the government rarely gives the people a break. Big government politicians seem to always want more money from us, taxpayers. So if you want to support the work we're doing right here at Conduit News, bringing you the truth, then why not consider giving less money to the government that never stops overspending and overtaxing us by giving a tax-deductible donation to Conduit for Commerce, the premier organization in Arkansas that never stops promoting small business and limited government. Just go to conduitforcommerce.org and click on Support Our Cause. From there, you can decide if you want to donate one time or monthly. Give the government that's using your tax dollars to grow and grow less, and give the people fighting for your values more. Conduitforcommerce.org. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for being with us today. New story up at conduitnews.com. You want to check it out. Crazy New Year's resolutions for a Republican. We all have our New Year's resolutions. I've kind of got mine right here. We'll see what happens. But crazy New Year's resolutions for a Republican. What does that mean? Well, it centers around Governor Asa Hutchinson. We were talking about Governor Hutchinson earlier in the segment concerning what his decision is in terms of the immigration policy, saying to the Trump administration, yes, we'll take those Middle Eastern refugees because we're confident. Now, just to be clear, the governor's office is confident. He says he's confident that the vetting process is going to be fine and there's nothing to see here and that we'll be safe. I think the rest of the state of Arkansas is quite skeptical of that. And so, to me, it's odd as a Republican to accept the refugees. It's also odd as a Republican, I think, at this point, to pass tax increases as well as advocate for tax increases. This is an election year. We're here. It's 2020. It's going to be a brutal year in terms of electoral politics. We're going to see the left do things that I don't even think we can imagine. And I'm serious about that because I think you have to know who we're facing. And we have two completely different visions for this country, visions for America. And you could certainly just say, well, one's socialist and one isn't. It's much worse than that, in my opinion. In the midst of all of that, here in Arkansas, our governor has said that his top campaign priority in 2020 is to pass a new tax. Here's part of the article, again, conduitnews.com. Have you made any New Year's resolutions? Governor Asa Hutchinson has, as far as elections. And if you're conservative, you won't like them. Okay, he didn't call them resolutions. Instead, he called them his priorities for 2020. Same thing. Asa's resolution number 1, Governor Hutchinson says his top priority for elections in 2020 is to pass Issue 1, which would impose a permanent 0.5% sales tax to be used for highways and roads. The tax would be imposed once a temporary tax expires. Now, this was a tax in 2012 that we all voted for, but we voted for it to expire in 2022. Now, you're saying, Paul, it's 2020. Why are we voting on this when it doesn't expire until 2022? Well, that's because if you vote it down, don't let them scare you, okay? Because they're going to say, if you vote this down, we're not going to fund. No, if you vote it down, the tax doesn't expire until 2022. So they've got a little bit of a buffer to figure out how else to raise the money. Please don't be a tax increase. Please don't be a tax increase. Please don't be a tax increase. Back to the article. The sales tax Asa wants under Issue 1 is in addition to these taxes he got passed in 2019. Okay? Number 1, a tax increase on gasoline and diesel fuel, which was SB 336. We had the internet tax. We've all been paying more for our own online purchases, a tax increase on tobacco products and e-cigarettes, a tax increase on your cell phone bills. Asa's resolution number 1, this goes on, is crazy for someone claiming to be a Republican. Crazy because Arkansas has one of the highest sales taxes in the nation. Arkansas is receiving record general tax collections, which doesn't even include the new gas and diesel fuel taxes, meaning there's new money to fund highways even without the new taxes. It's crazy because Asa prefers to impose this tax so he can keep spending piles of your tax money on other things, such as crony capitalism and increasing state agency budgets, without ever looking to see if the agency is running efficiently or to evaluate whether their programs are important or not. Towards the end of the article, it says this: Asa's resolution is crazy, but he's not crazy. He knows exactly what he's doing. What he is doing to your wallet, that is, and he's eager to spend your money. Then there's another resolution, and it specifically mentions the race we were just talking about. He wants Senator Cooper to win instead of State Representative Dan Sullivan. Do we remember a time when people stayed out of primaries? Like if you were in the same party and there were two people in the same party going for the same seat, you would kind of stay out of it? No, that precedent is gone. Under Governor Asa Hutchinson, we have seen countless times that he has supported one Republican over another because he believes in a more moderate agenda. The problem is the people he backs never campaign as moderates. Once again, they always campaign as unwavering conservatives. Just doesn't seem very honest to me or very fair. One more time, back to the article. This is in the big bold blue here. This is what you need to read. So there you have it, your Republican governor resolutions for 2020. If you're a conservative, maybe you should make some very different resolutions. We can't afford Asa's tax and spend game, where he cuts one tax to raise another, or cuts one tax, in this case, to raise 6 more. Sitting back and doing nothing while tax and spend politicians pose as Republicans hasn't worked. Don't do nothing. Do something. What can you do right now? What can you do right now? Well, you can share this video. You can subscribe. You can click the little bell to receive notifications. You can like us on Facebook. You can sign up for our email newsletter. The number one thing you can do for us, though, is to share. Share, 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 share. The more people that get this information, the more people that know that this is the truth that the mainstream media is not telling you about. Tomorrow on the program, we're going to be talking about a story today that was actually in the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. It's about the homestead property tax credit that kicked in on Wednesday, kicked in on New Year's Day. And, it's great. It is, again, tax relief here, but we raise all these taxes over here. But as a general policy, it's a good idea. And the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, they at least told you about State Representative Lanny Fight's bill to go even further with the tax credit, but they left out a few of the details. Some of those details that we'll tell you about tomorrow to give you a full context about what really goes on in the legislative process. Now all of a sudden you get to take the credit for the tax break here and there, but it could have been much better, and you might not have had the authority to raid other funds as you see fit, funds that are supposed to be for future tax relief. We'll tell you that story tomorrow on the program, and much, much more. Folks, thank you so much for being a part of this inaugural broadcast of Conduit News Hour with me, Paul Harrell. Arkansas, we're going to continue doing this, continue bringing the news. Please share the video. Be safe. And for more information, as always, go to conduitnews.com. Thanks, Arkansas.